Inside these walls, you will find a sports collector's dream closet. Barry Mizell was a sports reporter for the New York Daily News in the 1980s. He watched more than just games. He spotted an opportunity with untapped potential.
I was one of these crazy guys who collect. The light bulb started going off in my head as people started to pay more and more attention to game-worn jerseys and were paying more and more money, that there should be a system to authenticate and work directly with the teams.
So in 1997, Barry devised one. He formed the MeiGray Group, a company that collects and stores the most valuable pieces of memorabilia from some of the most popular teams across the NHL, the NBA, and even the NFL.
What we did was go to the teams and say, there's a real desire among your fans for these things, but the fans want to be sure they're real. So they asked us to come up with a system, an authenticating process that we do, and it starts before the jerseys are worn.
And this tag serves as a jersey's barcode. During the Winter Classic, the Flyers swamped out new sweaters every period. So you can see why organization around here is crucial.
You look at the massive size of this warehouse and what's in it, you'd say, how do you know? But every item, every game-worn item has a fingerprint. It's no different than a fingerprint because we're tracking and working with the teams.
Standard is for Flyers, they have 3 colors. They have orange, white, and third. They wear 3 orange, 3 whites, and 2 sets of thirds. So, I mean, that's a standard type deal, but you also have specialty nights, which would be like the Lindros LeClaire night this past season, and also Desjardins night. And, you know, they throw a couple things in here or there for charity.
Today's game-worn jerseys are easily identifiable. Take Jake Voracek's sweater. Inside, you'll see an authentication tag that is stitched into each sweater before the season even starts. But what about the vintage ones? Well, take a look at Dave Schultz's. You'll see a lot of blood stains that are still in here 40 years later. Of course, it's not Dave Schultz's blood. And Rick McLeish, this is the actual sweater that he wore when he scored the only goal of Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final that the Flyers eventually beat the Boston Bruins. The one identifiable mark is this black one on the shoulder, which makes this sweater approximately $25,000 in value.
The hardest part is to authenticate those jerseys from 40s, 50s, 60s, and even into the 70s. And it's tough. There's a lot of money on the line. There's a lot of value in those jerseys, so you have to get it right.
Stuart Oxenhorn handles MeiGray's jersey authentication side and determines if a collector has an actual piece of history or a complete fake.
You know, the one thing about NHL jerseys, they have marks, they have repairs, they have holes. So if you can match that to a photo, one, you increase the value, but that's the best authentication. And that's what we do a really good job. There's a mark right there.
There's the mark, I see.
That's one of them. And there's the mark. And then there's other little marks.
You see it on the photo right there. The mark plainly on the sweater. With a letter of authenticity, Bork's rookie sweater recently sold for, would you believe, $32,000. But some items are indeed priceless, and you'd practically have to crack the owner's safe just to get your hands on one.
So this is the safe. This is where we keep some of the best stuff. So let's see. Here's a good one. This is the jersey, that Kenny Morrow wore 1980, the night the U.S. Olympic team, 1980, beat the Miracle on Ice, beat the Russians. This is one of only about 6 or 7 shirts that have come out. It's the actual shirt that Ken Morrow wore the night we beat the Russians.
It's been nearly 20 years, and as you can see, the MeiGray Group is busting out at the seams. Their inventory has quickly outgrown their warehouse, and it's a product of a remarkably booming business.
I mean, this whole love of game-worn collecting and jersey collecting is growing. So we're expanding, and you're right. There's more and more coming in, but there's more and more going out every year. I mean, there's tens of thousands of collectors in our database, all over the world also. It's not just North America for hockey. It's Asia, it's Sweden, it's Europe. It's really a big and growing hobby.